Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Shamshad. I am pulmonologist, and we are dealing with an important topic of pulmonology today is the interstitial and infiltrative pulmonary diseases. So these are the diseases which affect the lung parenchyma and it damages the lung parenchyma. First of all, with your knowledge of anatomy and physiology, you must know what is the lung parenchyma. The terminal portion of the respiratory passages that are alveoli. Alveoli has got a basement membrane and single layer of cells. So this single layer of cells and outside there is a basement membrane. And further out there is a blood vessel, endothelium of the blood vessel, basement of the blood vessels, and there is some strands of connective tissue is there and a few lymphatics. This constitutes the lung parenchyma. Now I again repeat what is lung parenchyma. So lung parenchyma is the part of the lung after the terminal conducting airways. There are alveoli. So alveoli, outside the alveoli there are blood vessels and outside there is also lymphatics and few strands of connective tissue. These collectively form the lung parenchyma. So the diseases which affect the lung parenchyma, these are called interstitial lung diseases. So the broad heading of this disease is we can call it diffuse parenchymal lung disease. The diffuse parenchymal lung diseases are heterogeneous group of condition affecting the pulmonary parenchyma, that is interstitial alveolar lumen, which is frequently considered collectively as the share a sufficient number of clinical, physiological, and radiological similarities. So, first of all, I want to again repeat, you must understand what is lung parenchyma and the diseases which are affecting this is the interstitial lung diseases. So there are two, if we divide these diseases into two groups. One is without any known cause, that is idiopathic interstitial pneumonia. Sorry. And diseases with known cause. For example, connective tissue disorders, certain drugs that causes fibrosis of the lung parenchyma. There are connective tissue rheumatoid arthritis can affect the lung. So the two broad groups, diseases which causes the lung fibrosis of the lung parenchyma, interstitium, and the diseases and the interstitial pneumonias without any cause. So the clinical feature is very common to all these diseases. So what is the clinical presentation? First of all, we will broadly discuss the clinical presentation of these diseases. Number one, patient of these, they present with cough. Cough, what is cough? It is usually dry in nature. And in the late stages, it may be productive cough. So the first important symptom is the cough. Second is the breathlessness. You must know what is breathlessness. Breathlessness is awareness of breathing. Normally, we are not aware of our breathing process, but these patients are so breathless that they are aware that they stretch their breath and they make an effort to bring it into air into their lungs and out of the lung. So they are this is breathlessness. So the first symptom is cough. Second is breathlessness. If you examine these patients in general physical examination, there may be clubbing, there may be cyanosis, there may be pedal edema, there may be engorged neck vein, and on auscultation of the lung, there may be fine inspiratory crackles. If you auscultate the heart, there may be loud P2. pulmonary component of the second heart sound is louder. If another investigation that we go for an X-ray chest, this is the examination of the patient. If you examine these patients, first of all, the history. History is the number one is the cough. Second is the breathlessness. No, which type of breathlessness these patients have? These is mostly exertional type of breathlessness they present with. Usually patient goes to the washroom, comes back, he is breathless. So breathlessness is the very important feature of these diseases. And if we examine these patients, they may have clubbing, there may be cyanosis, there may be pedal edema, JVP may be raised, and large pulsatile liver. And if you auscultate the chest, there will be in the basis of the chest, particularly on the back side of the chest, there will be fine and inspiratory crackles, fine crackles. So this may mimic heart failure type of crackles. And if we auscultate the heart, second heart sound will be loud in these cases. Now you go for radiology, X-ray chest. All of these patients in the diffuse parenchymal lung disease. Now what I am telling you, this is the combined effect. This is in all type of interstitial lung diseases. These features are very much common. In X-ray chest, typically, lungs are small in volume. There may be reticulonodular shedding on the middle and the lower part of the lung. Usually, the lungs volume is small and reticulonodular shedding. Then, if we get an high resolution CT scan of these patients, then they may show ground glass changes, reticulonodular shedding, honeycombing, there may be cyst, there may be traction bronchiectasis, dependent upon the stage of disease. So, high resolution CT scan. You must know what is the high resolution CT scan. The conventional CT scan, we get the images at the level of 4 to 8 millimeter sections are there. But in high resolution CT scan, sections are taken from 1 to 2 millimeter, very thin slices. So usually we order this gold standard investigation nowadays to diagnose this. DPLDs are high resolution CT scan. No doubt the gold standard is the lung biopsies, but that is very difficult and very aggressive type and invasive procedure. These patients are in such a condition that we cannot do that invasive procedure. So for the diagnosis of these patients, so high resolution CT scan of the chest is very much helpful. Next is the pulmonary function test. So in cases of asthma and COPD, pulmonary function tests are obstructive in nature, but here it is opposite. It is restrictive part. How you can say that it is a restrictive type of pulmonary function test? So FEV1 over FVC ratio. What is FEV1? Force expiratory volume in 1 second. And what is FVC? Force vital capacity. The ratio between FEV1 or FVC is normal or 100% or even more than 100%. While in cases of obstructive lung disease, for example, asthma and COPD, the FEV and FVC ratio is less than 70%. You must remember from the previous lectures that this asthma and COPD, that is obstructive lung disease. But interstitial lung diseases, this is a restrictive type of lung diseases. Typically, and other tests that we can do in these patients is we can do blood gases. If patient has retaining carbon dioxide, we can know that patient has got of respiratory failure. If there is another test called known as DLCO, diffusion capacity for carbon dioxide. This is usually increased. Now, what is the pathology? What is occurring in the lung interstitium? When there is a fibrosis, the blood vessels present in the lung interstitium that are destroyed. When the blood vessels are destroyed, right heart has to do more function, more pressure on the right heart, ultimately leading to dilatation of the right ventricles. When there is dilatation of the right ventricles, Backward pressure in the right atrium is increased, so neck veins are increased, liver is engorged, pulsatile liver, there is pedal edema. So this is the basic pathology. When there is a fibrosis, then gas exchange is also hampered. Carbon dioxide cannot go from the blood to the alveoli, and from alveoli, the oxygen is cannot cross this lung interstitium because of fibrosis. So you must remember in all these diseases, this is the basic pathology that is occurring in these diseases. So what up till now what I have told you, that is what is interstitium, lung interstitium, and what are the structures in interstitium, alveolar basement membrane, alveolar cells, outside blood vessels, small mind blood vessels, and there are lymphatics and few strands of connective tissue. These are destroyed and replaced by fibrous tissue. This is the basic mechanism of pathology in cases of interstitial lung diseases. So generally two groups, one is the known cause and another group is without any cause. Okay? So the group with known causes or most common is connective tissue disorders, certain drugs, even hepatitis C patient, they also develop lung fibrosis, and in drugs, for most important drug is amiodarone, that is antiarrhythmic drug used by the cardiac patients, ultimately leads to lung fibrosis. So how these patients present, what is the history in these cases? That is cough. Usually cough is dry in nature and it is, but later on if the disease progress, there may be traction bronchiectasis and patient develops productive cough. What is, and second is breathlessness. Mostly this breathlessness is exertional in nature. When the patient develops right heart failure, that is in the late stages, patient become orthopnea and develops orthopnea and PND. So if you examine these patient, what will be there on the examination of the chest, and there may be general physical examination, clubbing, cyanosis is there, JVP may be raised, pedal edema may be there, and on auscultation there are crackles, and in radiology, X-ray chest typically shows shrunken lungs. In HRCT, which is gold standard for this investigation of these diseases, is shows ground glass changes, traction bronchiectasis, honeycombing, cyst, and this is the picture of the high resolution CT scan. If you do pulmonary function test in these patients, if you must know that how many pulmonary function tests we can make. One is spirometry. In spirometry, there is restrictive lung disease. If you do ABG is another pulmonary function test. It may patient may show right respiratory failure. And third function pulmonary function test is diffusion capacity for carbon monoxide. If you do that, DL, that is called DLCO. If you do the DLCO, that may be increased. So this is the pathology and what this is the pulmonary function test, but we see from, which we note that these are the changes in the pulmonary function test of these patients. So again we will discuss diffuse parenchymal. I will read for you. The diffuse parenchymal lung diseases are the heterogeneous group of condition affecting the pulmonary parenchyma and the alveolar lumen, which are frequently considered collectively and to share a sufficient number of clinical, physiological, and radiological similarities. They often present with cough, which is typical dry and distressing for the patient, and second is the breathlessness, which is often insidious in onset, but therefore relentlessly progressive. physical examination reveals presence of inspiratory crackers, and in many cases, there are digital clubbings. Patient develops digital clubbing. So in general physical examination, cyanosis and digital clubbing. Crackers may be present on auscultation. Typical radiographic finding include in the earlier stages ground glass appearance. What is ground glass appearance? You have seen the washroom glasses. That is, they, they are the glass which are placed in the washroom windows of the washroom. They are they are called ground glass glasses who cannot see from outside or from inside to the outside. So on the CT scan of these patients, the picture mimics that ground. This picture is called ground glass picture, just like the glasses of the uh, washroom windows. And there may be reticular shading, there may be progress honeycombing, cyst, traction bronchiectasis. All these appearances may be seen on plain X-ray, X-ray chest, so and HRCT. Now we are going to discuss idiopathic interstitial pneumonia. That is idiopathic. This variety, there is idiopathic, there is no known cause. Idiopathic interstitial pneumonia present a major subgroup of DPLD, and they are grouped together as a result of their unknown etiology. So I have told you that they doesn't have known etiology. They are often distinguished by predominant histological pattern on the tissue biopsy. Tissue biopsy of the due to open lung biopsy or bronchoscopic lung biopsy, these are the gold standard. Then if we, and here in these cases, are usually diagnosed on HRCT because these invasive investigation is not possible in these cases. Patients are so much in moribund condition, they are dyspneic, they are hypoxic, they are retaining CO2. So it is difficult to do bronchoscopy and transbronchial biopsies. Hence, the frequently referred to these pathological, usually the interstitial pneumonia or non-specific interstitial pneumonia. There is another NSIP, that is non-specific interstitial pneumonia, is another variety of the idiopathic interstitial pneumonia. Most of these are idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So, the condition, what are the differential diagnoses of this on X-ray or HRCT of this interstitial pneumonia? Number one is infection. Viral pneumonias. ये इसको यार कैसे करना है इसको ये जो आ रहा है Okay. The condition that mimic diffuse parenchymal lung diseases. Viral pneumonia, infections में viral pneumonia, pneumocystic, cerevisiae, and mycoplasma pneumonia. Their X-rays and their HRCT scan, they mimic uh, interstitial lung disease, that is ground glass appearance. Malignancies like leukemias, lymphomas, lymphatic carcinomatosis, and pulmonary edema, aspiration pneumonitis, these all present the same. They have the differential diagnosis of this interstitial lung disease on HRCT. Sometimes tuberculosis, parasitic lung diseases, for example, filariasis, fungal infection, and multiple METs and bronchoalveolar carcinoma. These mimic interstitial lung disease on HRCT. The classical assessment of the chest X-ray, pulmonary function test, hematology, biochemical, and immunological investigation. So what investigation you are going to do? No, up till now we had discussed what is interstitium, what are a major group of DPLDs. No, it has divided into two with known causes and without any causes. So, NSIP and UIP, usual interstitial pneumonia and non-specific interstitial pneumonia, these are the pneumonias without any known cause. So if you get an HRCT chest, the differential diagnosis on an HRCT is pneumocystic gyrovasi, mycoplasma pneumonia, malignancies, leukemias, lymphatic lymphangitis carcinomatosis, pulmonary edema, aspiration pneumonias, tuberculosis, and multiple metastasis, bronchoalveolar carcinoma. These all present similarly on HRCT and just like interstitial lung disease. So clinical assessment include X-ray chest, pulmonary function test, hematology of these patients, biochemical and immunological investigation, high resolution CT scan, appearance consistent with usual interstitial pneumonia. So in you know inconsistent clinical and CT appearances, appearance consistent with another diffuse parenchymal lung disease, for example, sarcoidosis. So HRCT will help you. Okay, what type of this ILD is there? It may be consistent with sarcoid. What will happen in sarcoid? In sarcoid, there is bilateral hilar lymphadenitis in stage 1 sarcoid. But in stage 2 and stage 3, stage 2 is the bilateral hilar lymphadenitis will be present on HRCT with parenchymal infiltrates. Stage 3, only interstitial fibrosis. There will be no hilar lymphadenitis. But sarcoid has got another presentation also. It is a multisystemic disease. Patient may present with red eye, with erythema nodosum or increased calcium levels in the blood. So, but HRCT, we can differentiate that this interstitial lung disease is due to sarcoid because presence of bilateral hilar lymphadenitis. Diffuse idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis can also be diagnosed in the HRCT chest. Further investigation which we can do in these cases is the bronchoalveolar lavage. We put the we can put the fiber optic bronchoscope in the respiratory passages and we wash it with normal saline and suck back the secretion and send to the lab for differential for DLC and TLC to see what type of cells are there. In cases of UIP and SIP, they have been neutrophilic predominant, while in cases of sarcoid will be CD4 to CD8 ratio is reversed. So diagnosis, appearance consistent with another diffuse parenchymal lung disease, sarcoid if it is diagnosed, then it has certain other so diffuse parenchymal lung diseases, DPLDs of known cause, for example, drugs or association with connective tissue diseases. Another causes of DPLDs are idiopathic interstitial pneumonias, granulomatous DPLD like sarcoidosis, and other form of DPLDs like lymphangioliomyomatosis and histiocytosis X. Here are the position of certain materials in the lung interstitium. So if you suspect that we have done the baseline investigation and know that is no cause it connective tissue disorder, patient is not taking any drug, we label it idiopathic pulmonary pneumonia, then idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, idiopathic interstitial pneumonia, and other idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. They have got certain types that is beyond the scope of your class, that is desquamatus and acute interstitial pneumonia. These are different types of the unknown causes of interstitial lung disease, non-specific interstitial pneumonia, respiratory bronchiolitis, cryptogenic organizing pneumonia that was previously called COOP or BOOP. Nowadays it is called cryptogenic organizing pneumonia, lymphocytic interstitial pneumonia. These are the different subvarieties of idiopathic interstitial pneumonia. So ये थोड़ा सा ऊपर हो सकता है यार, ये जो नीचे वाला है ऊपर जा सकता है ये, या उधर दूसरे पेज पे है ये, चले रहने दो फिर ये वाला जो था। चलो थोड़ा सा, हाँ ठीक है, थैंक यू। So idiopathic interstitial pneumonias, how you are going to, there are different varieties, that is UIP, usual interstitial pneumonia, non-specific interstitial pneumonia, NSIP, respiratory bronchiolitis, that is most common in smoker, usually present at the age of 40 and 60, smoking cessation, lead to improvement after cessation of smoking. So the important cause is, to all these patients I have previously as discussed with you, they usually present with shortness of breath and dry cough. There is maybe clubbing, there may be cyanosis, there may be edema, there may be JVP raised and fine and inspiratory crackles. So these are the findings in this general. All these patients present like this. So these are different varieties: deschematic interstitial pneumonias, cryptogenic organization pneumonia, bronchiolitis obliterans organization pneumonia. Patient as a clinical radiological pneumonia, X-ray पे क्या होगा, pneumonia की picture. Systemic features are mildly raised erythrocyte sedimentation rates common. There is no finger clubbing. Biopsy shows proliferative of immature collagen and fibrous tissue. Response to glucocorticoid is classically excellent in cases of B. These are the different varieties of interstitial pneumonia with unknown cause. Lymphocytic interstitial pneumonia, more common in women, slow onset over years. Investigate for association with connective tissue disorders, HIV, unclear. Whether glucocorticoids are helpful in these cases or also. Hello? So the occupational exposure can also lead to the damage to the interstitium, connective tissue diseases. These also can affect. We must exclude carefully with history, examination, and investigation. Histological findings of the condition are suggestive of the repeated episodes of focal damage to the alveolar epithelium consistent with autoimmune process, but the etiology remains. So what we have done up till now is, what is interstitium, what is the interstitial pneumonia broad term, what are their signs and symptoms, and what investigations we are going to do in these cases. And here again, there are investigations of unknown causes of interstitial pneumonia. These are summarized in the box 17 plus 71 previously. I have told you X-ray chest, HRCT, bronchoscopy, DLCO, pulmonary function test. These are the investigations. So again, I will read for you the lab investigation. If you do the full blood count, lymphopenia in sarcoid, eosinophilia in pulmonary eosinophilic lung disease, and drug reactions, neutrophils in hypersensitivity pneumonia. Calcium may be raised in cases of sarcoid. Lactate DHALDH may be elevated in cases of liver alveolitis. Serum angiotensin converting enzyme ACE, non-specific indicator of disease activity in cases of sarcoid. ESR and C-reactive proteins, they are non-specified to any type, but they are raised. Autoimmune screen, if you want to know the cause, to differentiate between whether it is a dyspneumonia of known cause or unknown cause, then we can do the anticyclic citrullinated peptides, anti-CCP, and other autoantibodies screening to rule out connective tissue as a cause of interstitial lung disease. Radiology, again, we have told you shrunken lungs, and in HRCT there may be ground glass appearances, there may be honeycombing, there may be infiltrations. So other causes, video cystic thoracoscope. This is an instrument that is, we can, fiber optic thoracoscopes are available. We can make a small hole in the under local anesthesia and in the chest, and we directly visualize the lung. It can be done in under general anesthesia. If there's a thoracoscopy, that is called VATS, video assisted thoracoscopes. And we can take the lung biopsies in these cases, and this is slightly less aggressive procedures. Liver biopsies may be useful in sarcoidosis. Urinary calcium, to the extent, may be useful in cases of sarcoid. You see the X-ray picture. There are reticulonodular shadowing, particularly in the bases of the lung. See in X-ray, CT scan of the lung. Idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, it is written that the typical high-resolution CT images, these demonstrate bilateral, predominantly basal and peripheral reticular opacities. You see at the basis, there are reticular opacities in the basis, and just like honeycombing. What is honeycombing? वो शहद की मक्खियों का छत्ता, इस तरह के आपको small holes नजर आ रहे हैं इसके अंदर. So this is a typical picture of the IPF, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So how to manage these cases? You have got history, examination, you have done certain lab investigations, spirometries, you have done connective tissue screening. Now you have diagnosed that the case is now IPF, that is idiopathic pulmonary edema. So what options we have got for these cases? Management option for this IPF is, management options for IPF, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, are improving. If the vital capacity of the patient, you do spirometry and the vital capacity, force vital capacity, is between 80 to 50% of the predicted, this patient may be offered either pirfenidone, which is anti-fibrotic agent, or nintedanib. It is a tyrosine kinase inhibitor. Both of these agents have been shown to reduce the rate of decline of lung function in these patients. But there is some prerequisite to prescribe this drug to the patients of IPF, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, varieties like UIP, NSIP. So you can prescribe, there is a one drug available that is called pirfenidone. Pirfenidone, but who are the candidate for this drug? Like that is pirfenidone, this is whose vital capacity is between 80 to 50%. If vital capacity is less than that, so these patients are not going to respond to this drug, pirfenidone or nintedanib. Both of these agents have been shown to reduce the rate of decline in lung function. If we don't introduce this drug, definitely lung function is going to reduce day by day due to the increasing lung fibrosis, and there will be dilatation and of the right heart leading to carpulmonale, and patient is in moribund condition. Patients taking pirfenidone should be advised to avoid direct exposure to the sun or use photoprotective clothing and high protection sunscreens. Nintedanib may be accompanied by diarrhea. What are the side effects? Is it diarrhea? Neither drug improves drugs, shortness of breath or cough. And the treatment should be discontinued if we give this drug for a period of 6 months to 1 year and there is no improvement in pulmonary function test over a period of 1 year. If there is more 10% or more improvement, we can continue with this drug. If not, then this drug is discontinued. Medication to control at the same time gastroesophageal reflux. Most of this, many studies, they recommend that we should reduce the gastroesophageal reflux in these patients, then the cough of this patient is improved. So anti-motility drugs are also added to the treatment, so we can depress the gastroesophageal reflex mechanism. Current smokers should be praised to increase the risk of lung cancer and advised to stop smoking. Influenza and pneumococcal vaccine should be recommended to these patients because influenza vaccine every year and pneumococcal vaccine are every 5 years. You have to vaccine these patients against pneumonia. So we can protect these patients. In pulmonary rehabilitation using ambulatory oxygen, if patient in type 2 respiratory failure, then we can suggest oxygen 1 to 2 liters so that we can reduce the pulmonary artery pressure. Domiciliary oxygen should be considered if palliation of breathlessness. In severe cases, when appropriate lung transplant should be considered, this is the last option. But the option of treatment for acute exacerbation, we can give steroids, broad spectrum antibiotics in these cases. You can see the histopathology pictures of these lungs, different type of fibrosis. What is the prognosis? So what about the management? One is the general management of these patients. One thing we should go if the, the general management oxygen, we should give them vaccination to prevent pneumonias and other complications. We, and what about their specific drugs, pirfenidone? But there are the only one group of IPF that is we can give this pirfenidone is where the force vital capacity is between 50 to 80% of normal. So other drugs are steroids, anti-motility drugs. So we can, if we control the reflux esophagitis, and we can give them anti-motility drugs, so their cough is much improved. What is the prognosis of this disease? The natural history is usually one of the steady decline. If their lung function steadily decline, even in the presence of their treatment. But what occurs, helps the treatment in these cases? The process of declining of the lung function is reduced. However, some patients are prone to exacerbations accompanied by an acute deterioration in breathlessness, disturbed gas exchange, new ground glass changes, or consolidation on HRCT. In advanced disease, central cyanosis is detectable in patients who may develop pulmonary hypertension and features of the right heart failure. The median survival of these patients is about 3 years, widely quoted. The rate of disease progression varies considerably, however, from death within a few months to survival with minimal symptom for many years. Serial lung function testing may provide useful prognostic information. Relative preservation of lung function suggesting longer survival. So, usual life expectancy of these patients is about 3 years. but we may can, but it can be increased with the certain drugs. At the same time, when we are treating these patients, we repeat HRCT after every 6 months to 1 year, and we repeat pulmonary function test to see whether it is stable, disease is stable or progressing. As progressing, how much deterioration in spite of medication patient has developed. So prognosis is usually not good, but at the same time, we continue the management. So non-specific interstitial pneumonia, picture of the sarcoidosis. Few words about sarcoidosis. Sarcoidosis is a multi-systemic granulomatous disorder of unknown etiology that is characterized by presence of non-caseating granuloma. What is non-caseating granuloma? Sarcoid present with non-caseating granuloma. In tuberculosis, there is caseating granuloma. So, and second important thing in the definition of sarcoid is a multi-system. It can involve skin, it can involve heart, it can involve joints, it can involve eye. So, it can involve lung. Most common involvement is the lung. So, sarcoid is a multisystemic granulomatous disorder of unknown etiology. It is characterized by presence of non-caseating granuloma on histopathology. If you get a histopathology picture, there will be a granuloma formation. That is, but there, in TB there is central caseation, but in sarcoid there is no central caseation. The condition is more frequently described in colder part of the northern Europe, but to be more common and more severe in those from a West Indian and Asian background, Eskimos, Arabs, and Chinese. How clinically present? So the disease is multisystemic. So clinical presentation of the different systems of the body is there. Sarcoid is considered with other DPLDs as over 90% of the cases they affect the lung, but the condition can involve almost any organ of the body. Lofgren syndrome is an acute illness characterized by erythema nodosum, that is raised maculopapular rash on the shin, peripheral arthropathy, uveitis, bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy, lethargy, and occasionally fever. It is often seen in young women. Alternatively, bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy may be detected in an otherwise asymptomatic individuals underlying a chest X-ray and other processes. So what is sarcoid? Sarcoid is a multisystemic granulomatous disorder, but here the granuloma is non-caseating in nature and it can affect any part of the body. But most common involvement is more than 70% cases lung is involved. So pulmonary disease, how is present? There is cough, exertional shortness of breath, radiographic infiltrates, chest auscultation is often surprisingly unremarkable. This is the diagrammatic presentation of involvement of the body in sarcoidosis. You can see from above in eye it can cause lacrimal gland involvement. There may be parotid gland involvement. Patient may develop diabetes insipidus. In eyes there is anterior uveitis. There may be Sika syndrome, that is dry eyes. Patient may have peripheral lymphadenopathy. On X-ray on the lungs, there is bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy. In heart, it may present with arrhythmias like heart block and sudden death. In abdomen, there may be splenomegaly. There may be nephrocalcinosis in the kidney, hypercalciuria, renal stone. There is a picture, very nice picture of the erythema nodosum. चाहिए? There, there is a nasal cutaneous sarcoid, lupus pernio. It's called lupus pernio. There is a granulomatous deposit on the nose of the patient. There may be cranial nerve palsy, interstitial lung disease, granulomatous liver disease, phalangeal bone cysts, skin plaques. So this is the multisystemic granulomatous disorders involving the presentation. Asymptomatic, abnormal, routine X-ray chest, 30% cases are asymptomatic. There, you done an X-ray chest, there is bilateral lymphadenopathy. Respiratory and constitutional symptoms, erythema nodosum, ocular symptoms, maybe red eye, anterior uveitis, skin sarcoid including lupus pernio, superficial lymphadenopathy, and X-ray chest, bilateral lymphedema. What are investigation we are doing? Lymphopenia on the TLC, liver function test may be mildly deranged. There may be hypercalcemia present, alveolar, particularly in patients when exposed to the strong sunlight. Hypercalciuria may be seen. So serum ACE level may be increased. If we do the biopsy of the lesion, there may be granulomatous picture that is non-caseating in type. Management of these patients is mostly steroids. So I have tried to inform you about the interstitial lung diseases, their presentations, their managements, and we have discussed UIP, NSIP, and we have discussed their investigation, history, clinical presentation, investigations, and prognosis of the disease and treatment of the disease. So I hope if you follow the book of Davidson, so which is written all there, and we have studies this, you will come to know and you will have a better knowledge and a better understanding of the subject of interstitial lung disease. It seems to be difficult, but if you read it and you understand it, I think there will be no difficulty. And we also discuss sarcoidosis and its management. Sarcoidosis. So I hope that I will be the subject will somewhat clear in your minds. You can read this from your books. This is diffuse parenchymal lung disease, idiopathic interstitial pneumonia, NSIPs, UIPs, and their major presentations, clinical features, and how to manage these patients. The page is 605 from the Davidson. We have studies this, and I hope it is a difficult topic. I don't, but if you read it once, twice, you will come to know there are simple things. How these patients present, what is their history, what if you do the general physical examination, what things you are going to find in X-ray, in HRCT, and lung function test. You will come to know what are the findings in these cases.